Welcome. Today we're going to talk about tessellations. So tessellations is a style of art, and we're going to be inspired by the artist M.C. Escher. So M.C. Escher, he was a mathematician first and then also an artist. So M.C. Escher is a great person to really learn about how math and art can work together. He realized that so many things in art need to have those precise measurements from math in order to work out well. So he's a great artist. He's going to be our inspiration today for our project. He made pieces like this, which if you look closely, oh, there's my dog Tucker. If you look closely, you can see how that image inside the book of the lizards is coming to life and wrapping around the whole piece of art. Now, if you look at that image of the lizards itself, that is a tessellation. Let me show you some more examples. A tessellation is when a shape fits together perfectly with the shapes around it. Yes, hi, Tucker. Sorry. When the shapes fit together perfectly, they make this cohesive image. Now, he would take this design and make a full piece of art off of it. So it wouldn't just be that design over and over, but it would actually create some more stuff. So here we see the birds, or the goose, kind of spreading out from each other and then turning into the fields as well. Here's another really interesting one where he kind of showed that Mobius strip or an infinity sign of these also birds, or cranes, coming together. If we look in the center there, we can see how the white cranes and the black ones fit together perfectly. Now that is key for a tessellation. There cannot be any extra space in between them. They have to fit together perfect. Here's one where the entire thing is a tessellation. We have the Pegasus, or the horse with wings. This one's a very complex one. You can see how the mouth ends up fitting in with the foot of the leg in front of it. The tail is from another leg. We got the wings going into the neck. It's a really cohesive piece, and there's no extra spaces anywhere. We got some fish for this one. Now with this fish design, we see how they're kind of spiraling out from a point and they all fit in together. And we have a couple different fish designs that end up fitting together. So this one, he had to be a little bit more creative with it, but still no extra spaces, and every fish has a pair, has a match. Here's another one where we go from birds and fish fitting together. If you look in that center line, we see the white fish and the black birds, and they fit together perfect. Then he decides to spread them out and add more details to them to make it a little bit more interesting. Now, here's where M.C. Escher gets really intense. He started working with the idea of infinity, so something that can go on forever and ever and ever. So we took his tessellation design, and we recognize these lizards from his first picture, and he made it by using some math, so they proportionally got smaller and smaller every time. But they still had to fit together. And so they start big and they get smaller and smaller and smaller as they go in, on and on and on, into infinity. There is no end to this piece. Technically, if we got a microscope and we had the ability to draw that small, this piece would go on, keep getting smaller and smaller, always fitting together exactly, because he figured out the math for this. Here's another one that kind of goes opposite with it. It starts big in the center and gets smaller and smaller as it goes to the outside, still showing infinity and that tessellation. Now this is a much more complex style. We're not going to go anything like this, but we're wanting to be inspired by all the things that M.C. Escher did. So if you look through today's project, you can see that there are lots of handouts. So in these handouts, I start off with kind of a cover page that talks about the vocabulary that we're going to use. So a tessellation is an arrangement of shapes closely fitted together without gaps or overlapping, creating a repeated pattern. So these 4 terms here, these are terms that you should recognize from your math class. If you were in 8th grade math back in chapter 2, you learned about this. So we have translation, reflection, rotate, and center of rotation. We're going to be using those terms in this project. So it ties back into math perfectly. I have another page that is tips and tricks. Oops, and I got cut off a little bit there. So with tips and tricks, it's going to give you some advice on how to make your project better. So you'll understand these as we get into them and watch the videos, but making sure you have smooth cuts, not jagged ones. Lining things up exactly, starting from the center of your paper, putting things at an angle, and then making sure you go slow and take your time. That's going to be key. All right, let's go on. So I included some handouts for every single one of the different tessellation types. So you can look through them as you watch my videos to help you realize how to do this project. But they're there to help, but I have the videos that go over the exact same stuff. Here is how your finished project could look. This one is mine from last year. So if you look closely, there are apple cores with worms coming out of them. So I cut out this design and figured out how to tessellate it and fill up this entire page. It's that same image over and over and over again. Now when I colored it, I chose to color my apples a little bit differently to give it some variety, but I could have colored them all the same. But this is a tessellation. Here's some more ones. These ones are getting a little bit simpler, so let's get into some student examples. You can see how we got kind of a cow, hippo sort of thing on the right, and we got sort of a dog on the left. Now, it's okay that these are a little bit more abstract. They don't have to be super realistic. They can if you want to, but they don't have to. We got a cat eating some fish. I just love how each cat's eyes is a little bit different. The colors are different, but the shapes are all the same, and that's what's key. They all fit together perfect. So you can choose to color these in and create your designs a little bit more abstractly, as long as your shapes are all the same. The shapes still need to all fit together. This one's kind of a crazy one to look at. We got hot dogs and some hot dog buns. We got some moose. That one's a little harder to see until you really stop and look at it, sticking their tongues out, and some umbrellas, but still the designs fit together exactly. So, your steps for this. Oh no, you can't see everything. There we go. So, your steps. First off, you're going to want to download the instruction pages. So there's each of the 7 different types, plus your tips page and your vocab page. You're going to want to use them as reference. If you can print them out, that's going to be great, but you don't have to. Then you're going to want to get your shapes templates. So for that, you can print them out, like I printed out some of mine here, as you can see, and you're going to cut them out. Now, if you don't have a printer, you can cut out your shapes on your own. Just try to create that perfect square, and if you want to do one of the hexagon ones, that perfect hexagon. So having those templates is helpful, but not necessary. Then you want to watch the videos and practice at least 3 different tessellation types. I recommend you try all of them to see what you really like. That way you're really trying out a lot, but it ends up being your call. I would recommend at least 3. Then you're going to look at your drawings carefully. So like I have all my little example ones here that I went through in my videos. So you're going to look through them and you got to decide what shape do you like best. Or you could create a whole new one. Maybe I think I like this one best. So for this one, I ended up seeing an owl taking off from a perch. So you got to really look at your design and see if you can figure out what it might be. Turn your paper upside down, left, right, look at it cross-eyed. Try to figure out what that shape could actually be. Then you want to fill your space completely. If you're not using your original, my originals, I filled my papers entirely. You might not have. That's okay. So fill the space completely, and then you want to draw in your details for every single one. So I'm going to draw a lot of owls coming out of this page. Making sure they all fill the spaces. You want to color neatly, carefully, take your time. What you choose to color with is totally up to you. I would recommend colored pencils, but use what you have available. Then lastly, make sure you take a picture of your final product. Nice good lighting, straight down, and post the picture by Friday. This is a week-long project, so you have some time to try it out, see what looks good, and take your time coloring. Have fun with tessellation, guys. Check out my other videos and instructional pages to help you out. Bye!